Greetings, everyone. So I'm going to make a quick video before I leave. I have some appointments today. But I wanted to talk about narcissistic angles. So when you're talking to a manipulator, a manipulative, controlling person, they are always looking for an angle. You know, just like how when somebody's doing a sales pitch, and I'm not saying salespeople are narcissists. Some of them are. But there's always like an angle that they want to approach it from. Because the way their mind works, it's always manipulating every second of the day. They might play, oh, I'm such a good guy. I'm doing all these amazing things. You know, I save kittens. I saved a stray dog in the park. You know, I rescued this girl when her father was abusing her, whatever it is, which I've noticed in some of the videos that I've been watching on the predator poachers and some of the other ones. A lot of the P-files were saying, oh, you know, I was just trying to help him out. You know, he needed someone to protect him, or, you know, whatever it is. You know, meanwhile, they're abusing him. And I'm not saying all narcissists are predators, but what I'm saying is that there's a similarity. And what you always get with them is manipulation. So, say somebody begins to see the fraud or the con that they are, right? Now they got to work a new angle. And they're always doing it. And as I've said before, they are exhausting to be around. Exhausting. And even if you don't know what they are still exhausting. And it's like, because if you're around them, you're around their thoughts and how they work. And you will always need a nap around these folks. So, narcissistic angles. Let's just use a real basic example. Let's say that you caught a narcissist in a lie. You know, that never happens, right? I never said that to that woman. I don't know what you're talking about. This is nonsense. And how could you dare accuse me of lying when you got like all the proof in the world? You know, you got a recording. You got the woman who he yelled at and abused and was cheating on you with. You got it all. But that's one way they might spin it, right? If you've got the more, what I've noticed is there are more malignant, which is like the most maximum severe kind of narcissist you can get. There are narcissists that can be a little bit grandiose, which is very flamboyant and show-offy. But they can also be very vulnerable. And the vulnerable, when I mean vulnerable with narcissism, that means they're making everybody feel so sorry for them because they're just, oh, life wasn't fair to them. And, you know, that guy was just like so mean to me. And like, it's just, life is just like is so unfair, you know, and like, why was he doing that? That's fake crying, by the way. And it's kind of interesting to me because I would have thought that you might get a person that'd be more malignant, flamboyant, and it wouldn't be as much vulnerability, you know, the fake vulnerability. Well, they call them the vulnerable narcissists, the more covert, the more quiet. Those are the ones that'll kill you in your sleep and nobody will ever find out. It's a fact. So, they always have to have an angle. So once they start getting busted or caught for who they really are, whatever misdeeds or evils or cruelties or crimes or whatever it is that they're doing, they're already sitting there in the background. And, you know, depending on how dangerous they are, you might want to get away from them. But they're creating a new narrative in their mind based on things people are saying. And what I've noticed as well is that they like to take key phrases or key words from other people and twist that one around. They love to do that. I don't know what that would be called. Let's say, okay, this is really basic, and I'm not going to be on long. Say that they got caught stealing from a corporation. Let's say there's no video evidence, right? Because that'll make it a little bit easier. But they will take that word thief or thieves, and then they will accuse the people, like their bosses and their managers, that they're the ones that are stealing. You see what I mean? Or I mean like the infamous narcissistic cheater, especially the ones that cheat like constantly. They will be like watching every move that you make and calling you a cheater, which is projection, while they're the ones that are cheating. But the whole fact is, when they take those certain key words, because when they're thinking, everything that they do is manipulation. I am still on the not sure about if they know what they're doing or they do know. I think sometimes they know what they're doing, and I think sometimes they're just so darn manipulative and controlling. They don't understand that that is what they're doing. It depends. So, say you're at a party and you got a broke narcissist that's just not a good person. And they steal, they cheat, they do all these dishonest, immoral, unethical things. And you're having a little party, just a get together at your house, having a few beers or tea or whatever people are drinking. And you just bought a new phone, like a really expensive, let's say an iPhone. And this person steals your iPhone. And it's like they can't help themselves because they're just wired to be dishonest and commit thievery. They are going to pin it on somebody else. You know, like that's a really basic example. But like whatever you are revealing about their character, they're going to turn that around onto you. Or if they know enough about you that will never fly, that story will never fly, they will do whatever they can to distract what is being revealed about them and bring up something else, or try to make another person the bad guy, and usually, or another woman. And usually the people that they're making the fall guy or the fall woman, there's not 1 ounce of truth to what they're saying. Like basically, I'm trying to think of the word. Like basically distracting so that nobody, it's like the article I read yesterday about con artists, how they will distract and start talking about something else. I'm just talking in general terms. They'll start talking about something else so that nobody looks to see what they're doing. Because heaven forbid you would question a narcissist. I mean, it happens in cults too. You can't question. and religions as well. They will basically fight to their death to not have the real truth come out. And I mean, if you go all the way to the top of the chain of the psychopaths, we all know what they're doing. I know a lot of you guys do. They'll kill you. It's the truth. They'll take you out. So the narcissist always has an angle. Every time. And it's, especially if you don't know a lot about it, about what they're doing, like you won't catch it. And I have found that the more finessed and more intelligent, and I mean, I say that loosely, and when I mean intelligent, I'm talking about intelligent in manipulating people. They're not always intelligent about different subjects. They're just extremely good at manipulation. I've been tricked by folks like that, believe it or not. They'll have you thinking they're the nicest person in the world, that they're trying to help everybody, and that's the real mind F when you realize, like, and you look back, you're like, wow, they were manipulating me or attempting to manipulate. When they, in my situation, when they were trying to get more forceful with the manipulation, that's when I started catching on. And one thing that'll tip you off is if they're always telling you what to do. That's a good indicator that you got a narcissist, manipulator, controller, no empathy type person. They're always looking for an angle. And unfortunately, or fortunately now, I've gotten to be so good at detecting these kinds of people that I sometimes will be able to know what they're going to do ahead of when they do it. Just because I watch them. Like, you guys know I don't hang around these folks. I don't. But it's like if I see a few things, maybe I'm out and about, or maybe I'm at the store, or maybe a relative is telling me a story, or whatever it is. I already know. And then people look at me like, well, how did you know they were going to do that? Well, you know, you should have been listening to what I was telling you. I don't just say these things just for my own, to make myself feel better. And I think, and what I've been noticing it a lot just throughout society now, because I've gotten to be better at identifying this. And I don't only focus on narcissism, because that's very negative, low vibration kind of place to be. But I am interested in human behavior. And like, for example, some of the things that I've seen in the LAPD, it's like, yep, that's narcissistic. Yep, that's narcissistic. And again, too, we have to remember that sometimes people are stuck in narcissistic systems, like Scientology right away, right? And so there might be a very kind, compassionate person that is acting like a narcissist because they're following all of the, allegedly, LRH policies. But they truly are not a narcissist. They're stressed out. They're only getting like 3 hours of sleep a night, and they got to get stats up or whatever. So there are people that, and I've probably been guilty of it myself when I'm under a lot of stress, you know, but I most definitely, that's not my set point. But again, it's like what I was going to say is I've been noticing it throughout society. You know, LAPD is one example. I don't really follow the news. The only thing that I subject myself to news-wise is the Scientology stories that I read to you guys. For the most part, it's, or, you know, children being abused. I try not to get in that world. I feel like it's a huge illusion, propaganda, in my opinion. But just watch their eyes, you guys. Watch their eyes when you're revealing what a scum of the earth they are, or what a wife beater, or whatever it is. And again, this doesn't really apply to the dangerous ones, because you really want to get away from them. I'm not kidding you. But if the person's not, they're just a jerk, a narcissist, an asshole, watch their eyes when they're being revealed. You might see the narcissistic rage come out. That comes out a lot. One day I'm going to talk about facial expressions of narcissists, or whatever you want to call them, controllers, manipulators, domestic abusers, whatever want to, whatever title of the day, suit your fancy. But it's always about manipulating and controlling and getting you to do what they want you to do. Calling you an anti, or calling you a suppressive, or shunning you, or telling you if you don't do something you won't have a job, or whatever it is. I'm just using those as an example. But watch their eyes and watch the things that they say. And narcissists mirror in a very evil way. They will take the things that you have talked about, especially in confidence. Oh, do they love that? Because they just collect information. That's all they do. Information collectors. And, just like with auditing and Scientology, how they're collecting information to use against you, that's exactly what narcissists do. And they will. So let's say you caught a narcissist stealing, you caught him cheating on you, or I'm thinking more public situations. We might look at Diddy, which I personally think, and I'm not a psychotherapist, but it is my opinion, that P. Diddy is a psychopath. He's not the only one, by the way, doing the things that allegedly he's doing, right? But they will always use your words against you. And sadly enough, sometimes they are able to manipulate everyone into believing that they never did it, or they just get off scot-free, like we see in the courts all the time. So, but just pay very close attention, because when they're listening to things, whether it be in a YouTube chat or whether it be out and about, you went to town or you're shopping, or they're collecting whatever you're saying, because they're collecting that data, that information for detriment to you, because they will save themselves at any cost. And I think, well, I'm sure a lot of you would agree with me, I'm sure that the prisons are full of them. Police forces are full of them. I mean, these folks are everywhere. It's not to say every prisoner's a narcissist and every police officer's a narcissist. We know that. But what do narcissists, especially the grandiose, more malignant, what do they love? They love power. They love money, because that's their leverage. That's what they use to control other people, to use it against them. So always watch what kind of angle they're going to give you. Look at some of the public statements that various agencies have made. I'm not saying which agencies, you guys should know which ones. Like a child gets raped and nobody knows, right? It could be a church saying this. Yeah, the children were telling us for 20 years, but we really believe in protecting children. That's a gaslight, by the way. And it's also denial of aiding and abetting in federal crimes. So that's it, you guys. I got to go. I got like a bunch of appointments today. Have an amazing day. And subscribe and like if you feel the urge. Bye.